All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling, I think, what we could call a fire hose of information.
Yeah.
Andrew Kagan's Random Technical News You Can Possibly Use weekly newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to turn this into something a little bit more manageable for all of you. We're talking
Yes.
Azure, Microsoft 365, industry trends,
Yep.
all sorts of fun learning resources.
It's a lot. It's a buffet of tech news.
It is. It's a lot.
And what I like is, this newsletter does a great job of kind of showing how all this stuff is connected, which is really,
Absolutely, yeah.
really cool.
Let's jump into it, the Azure updates.
Okay.
Caught my eye. Right away, there's this video. Azure, Virtual Desktop Secrets Explained, step-by-step guide.
Okay.
Secrets, right? I'm like, ooh, what's the secret sauce here?
Right. What are we going to learn?
Yeah. How do I really step?
Well, especially now that, virtual desktops are becoming more and more critical for a lot of us, right? Remote workforces, or if you're accessing applications in the cloud,
Right.
This guide could be, anything from like tips to optimize performance, how to really boost security,
Right.
maybe even uncover some of those hidden features that are going to save you time and headaches.
That's, super important because hybrid work is definitely here to stay.
It is.
Okay, next up, high-performance computing in Azure with Mark Russinovich.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Russinovich.
I mean, come on. He's like
Need I say more?
Azure royalty.
That's right.
Yeah. And this video, I think, could be a goldmine, especially if you're interested in, high-performance computing, whether it's you're doing scientific research, financial modeling, or AI development, anything that requires a ton of processing power.
Yeah.
Azure's providing the infrastructure, and Mark Russinovich is probably giving his expert advice on how to really leverage that effectively.
That's right. Required viewing. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit to Microsoft 365.
Okay.
There's a video here. Upgrade to Windows 11 for free Act Now.
Mm-hmm.
That Act Now kind of makes me think, is there like a limited time offer?
Right. Like it's going to expire.
Yeah, have you upgraded?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I'm always a little hesitant with the big upgrades.
I hear that.
Yeah, I like to wait and see how things shake out first, It's not always just about those shiny new features.
Mm-hmm.
It's making sure that, my existing software is going to work, how it might change my workflow.
Right.
It's a decision that needs careful consideration, I think.
Yeah, you got to weigh it out, the benefits and the potential disruptions.
Totally.
Okay, Power Platform in Dynamics 365, we got Core Visuals Revisited, Eat 387 Power BI Tips.
Wow, episode 387.
Episode 387. That is a testament
That's impressive.
to the power of data visualization and analysis.
Yeah, and Power BI has become such an essential tool for businesses, especially when you're trying to analyze all that data to make, smart decisions, informed decisions. But for folks who might not be familiar with it, Power BI, it essentially lets you take that raw data and transform it into these visually appealing charts and dashboards that are easy to understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then right next to that, create interactive learning bots with Copilot Studio.
Yeah.
That's like AI, automation.
It's all the buzzwords.
Right.
But think about it, though. You could be using these bots for training new employees, providing, customer service 24/7.
Sure.
Even personalized marketing messages.
Yeah.
The possibilities are huge.
Yeah, it's like having this digital workforce that never sleeps.
Exactly.
That's right. Okay, DevOps, SRE, and infrastructure. See what WebAssembly can do in 2025.
Ooh.
WebAssembly, so it lets you run code written in different languages, all on the web, right?
Yeah.
But why 2025? What's so special?
I don't know. It kind of makes it sound like maybe we're going to see some big advancements, by then. It could be anything from revolutionizing web application performance, making it easier to develop complex web experiences.
Right.
Maybe even blurring those lines between web and native applications,
Yeah, I like that.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Breaking boundaries, the 12 anti-factors of infrastructure as code.
Ooh, interesting.
So infrastructure as code, it's all about managing your IT infrastructure using code.
Yeah.
Super efficient.
Right.
But like any tool, powerful tool, there's always those pitfalls.
Exactly. And that's what makes this article, I think, pretty intriguing. It's not just talking about best practices, but it's actually identifying what they're calling these anti-factors.
Right.
The things that can actually derail your efforts and lead to more headaches later on. I think this is essential knowledge if you're working with, cloud infrastructure and automation.
That's right. Got to know those gotchas, right?
An ounce of prevention
is worth a pound of cure. All right. Data, analytics, and AI, another area that is always buzzing with new developments. Redefine your design skills to prepare for AI. How is AI changing design?
It's a good question.
What do we see?
Well, AI is becoming this really powerful tool for designers, I think, in so many ways. I mean, you've got tools like, generative AI. It's allowing designers to create visuals, designs based on, specific prompts. It's pushing those boundaries of, like, creativity and efficiency.
Yeah.
But what that also means is designers have to adapt.
That's right.
Their skill sets, right?
Absolutely. Like they're collaborating with AI now. In a way.
Exactly.
Not just using AI, but collaborating.
Yeah, you got to understand what it can do and how to work alongside it.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, security, compliance, and privacy. New HIPAA cybersecurity rules set high standards. So HIPAA is all about protecting the privacy and security of health information. New regulations always get people scrambling a little bit.
Yeah, people get a little nervous.
Right.
Yeah, so these new rules, they really emphasize, risk assessment and mitigation.
Okay.
So healthcare organizations are going to need to be more proactive about identifying those vulnerabilities and then putting in place those safeguards really to protect patient data. Yeah. And there's also a bigger focus on, like, incident response planning. So if a breach does happen, they need to have a clear plan in place to contain the damage, notify the folks that are affected, recover quickly.
It's not just about preventing the breaches, but knowing what to do if they happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. That's a huge one. OpenAI's red teaming innovations for AI security. So OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, DALL-E,
they're really at the forefront of
they're leading the way.
This whole AI development. What exactly is red teaming in this context?
So red teaming, it's a cybersecurity practice where you basically have a dedicated team, and their job is to think like an attacker.
Oh, right. So they're going to try to exploit vulnerabilities in your systems using all sorts of different techniques, whether it's like adversarial machine learning or data poisoning.
Yeah.
But the goal is to find those weaknesses before, the bad guys do.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm seeing a theme here in this newsletter.
Yeah.
Learning and certifications, always important to stay up to date.
Absolutely.
Gene AI Essentials full course for beginners, 22 hours.
That's a commitment.
It is. It is a commitment, but it really speaks to this growing importance of understanding generative AI.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not even just if you're, working directly in a tech role. AI literacy is becoming important across all sorts of industries.
I think you're right.
It's pretty amazing.
Okay, last but not least, industry news and trends. Microsoft's $80 billion AI investment plans for 2025. That's an eye-popping number.
That's a lot of money.
What could this mean for the future of AI development?
I mean, that's a huge statement from Microsoft, right? It's like they're going all in on AI. That kind of investment is going to fuel a ton of innovation.
Absolutely.
And advancement in, machine learning, natural language processing, computer vision, you name it. It could even lead to brand new AI-powered products and services that we haven't even thought of yet.
Right.
Things that could disrupt existing industries or even create whole new ones.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really exciting to think about.
Alongside this massive investment, there's news about the White House launching a U.S. cyber trust mark for consumer devices.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's basically a seal of approval to show that a device meets certain cybersecurity standards.
Okay.
Think of it as like a safety rating.
Got it.
For your smart devices.
Like an Energy Star, but for security.
That's it. Build trust and protect consumer data.
Makes sense, yeah. Especially with all the concerns around IoT and security these days.
That's right. Okay. I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
In a good way, of course.
I know, me too.
With all this information,
this is a lot to process.
There's so much happening in the tech world right now.
Yeah, for sure.
What are some of the things that are really resonating with you? Like, what are those key takeaways?
One thing that really jumps out at me is this idea that, AI is everywhere, right? It's not just in the tech industry itself, but it's, it's affecting healthcare, it's influencing consumer goods. It's really this ripple effect, where one innovation in one area leads to all these changes in others.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing that I'm noticing is this strong emphasis on security and compliance, with things like, those new HIPAA regulations we were talking about and initiatives like the U.S. Cyber Trust Mark. it's clear that security is top of mind for a lot of folks.
That's right. I think you're spot on. And, it's not just about those individual updates or news items. It's about seeing the big picture.
Absolutely.
How are these trends converging?
Right.
And creating something entirely new.
Yeah, it's a new technological paradigm, and it begs the question, how are you going to navigate it?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
Right. It can feel overwhelming, but there's so many resources out there to stay ahead of the curve. This newsletter is just one example. There's online courses, podcasts, you name it.
And communities. Don't forget the communities.
That's right.
Online communities where you can learn from others, share your experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to our listener, be proactive.
Yes.
And really make that commitment to continuous learning.
Because in the tech world, if you're standing still, you're falling behind.
That's right. Well said. So explore Andrew Kagan's newsletter for yourself.
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
You can find contact info in the show notes if you want to give him feedback.
Yeah.
Maybe suggest topics for future issues. I mean, it's curated. He does a lot of the heavy lifting for you.
Exactly. You get to pick and choose what interests you.
It's like that buffet.
That's right. And the best part is it's a never-ending buffet.
That's it. Never-ending buffet.
The tech world is constantly, adding new dishes.
That's right.
And Andrew Kagan's there to help you navigate the menu.
That's right. Well said. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Into the fascinating world of tech news.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you've learned a thing or two.
Yeah.
Maybe added some things to your learning list.
For sure.
And in the world of tech, the learning never stops.
Never stops. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks.
Until next time, happy learning.
It really is. It's amazing to see how it's, impacting not just the tech industry, but, healthcare, consumer goods.
Yeah, it's like a ripple effect. One innovation leads to another. It's all interconnected. But speaking of healthcare, let's circle back to those IPS cybersecurity rules.
Okay.
They seem like a pretty big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with all the data breaches that are happening. What are some of the key things people should know?
I think a big one is, they really place a greater emphasis on risk assessment and mitigation.
Okay.
So healthcare organizations really need to be proactive, figuring out, okay, where are the vulnerabilities? What are the safeguards we need in place to protect patient data? And there's also a bigger focus on incident response planning. So if a breach does happen, you got to know, okay, how do we contain the damage? How do we notify people? How do we recover quickly?
Yeah, it's not just about preventing them, but it's what do you do if it happens?
Exactly.
Be prepared.
And makes sense, those data breaches can be so damaging, both for reputation and financially.
Totally, yeah.
Hypo-AI kind of ties in with another item in the newsletter, the XDR OT, operational technology updates.
Interesting.
Have you heard much about this?
A little bit, yeah.
I know OT security is becoming a bigger and bigger deal.
Oh, with all these devices and systems connected to the internet, is that what these updates are about?
Yeah, so OT, it's basically all the systems that control physical processes, right? So think manufacturing plants, power grids, even medical devices.
Okay.
And traditionally, these were kind of isolated, but now with the rise of the industrial Internet of Things, they're becoming much more connected, which of course opens up, potential attack vectors.
So hackers could target those systems and cause real-world disruption.
It's a possibility, yeah.
It's a little scary.
It's definitely something to be aware of, and that's where XDR comes in.
Okay.
And XDR stands for Extended Detection and Response.
Right.
It's a security approach that basically uses a combination of technologies and techniques to detect and respond to threats across your entire environment.
So a more comprehensive kind of integrated security system.
Exactly. Yeah. Protect against a wider range of threats.
Makes sense with the lines blurring between IT and OT.
Right.
Let's talk about, I found this really interesting, the OpenAI red teaming for AI security. Can you kind of elaborate on how that works? In practice, what does that look like?
Sure. So imagine you have a team, these ethical hackers. We call them red teamers. And their job is to basically think like an attacker.
Right.
Right. They're going to try to exploit vulnerabilities in your AI systems using all sorts of different techniques, adversarial machine learning, data poisoning.
Wow. So they're like constantly trying to outsmart the AI.
You got it.
To make sure that it's really resilient.
Exactly, yeah.
And OpenAI is doing this. That says something, right?
Absolutely. I think it really highlights this growing recognition that AI security is not just about protecting data, but it's also about making sure those AI systems are behaving as intended, that they're not going to be manipulated or misused.
That's a good point. All right, learning and certifications. AI is moving so fast.
It is.
What do you recommend for folks that want to kind of keep up?
Well, the newsletter itself has some great resources, like that Gen AI Essentials course we talked about, which is a really comprehensive, beginner's course on generative AI. You can also check out some of those online platforms like Coursera, ADX. They've got lots of courses and certifications in AI, machine learning, all that good stuff.
And I'm a big fan of open source projects and communities.
Oh, yeah, me too.
There's so many talented people out there.
Absolutely.
Sharing knowledge, collaborating.
It's a great way to learn and stay connected.
Yeah, and, engaging with the community, I think, is so valuable.
It is.
You learn from other people's experiences. You can share your own insights. It's really a good way to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, for sure.
So just to kind of take a step back here, we're seeing this theme of convergence.
Yeah.
Technology is impacting everything.
It is.
How is this all going to play out? How's it going to shape, work, education, even society?
That's the big question, right?
It is. It's a huge question.
Nobody really knows for sure, but it's definitely an exciting time to be, in this field.
That's right. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to go back to that $80 billion AI investment from Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's a staggering number.
Yeah.
Is there a downside? Are we moving too fast?
Yeah, I think it's a valid concern.
Right.
There's always potential downsides, right? I mean, AI has so many potential benefits, but we have to be mindful of the risks as well. Things like algorithmic bias, job displacement,
right,
and even the potential for misuse, like surveillance or autonomous weapons.
Right. It's
scary stuff.
It's a tough balance, right? Yeah. Fostering innovation, but also, not at the expense of our ethics or well-being.
Yeah, you gotta find that balance.
Yeah, so it seems like this conversation around responsible AI is becoming more and more important.
I think so. And it's not just a conversation for, the tech companies or the policymakers.
Yeah.
It's something we all need to be engaged in.
Yeah.
As citizens, as consumers, asking questions, demanding transparency, really trying to shape the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's not just about the technology, it's about how we use it.
Right.
And the values that we embed in it.
That's right. So for our listeners out there, working in tech, how can they prepare for this AI-driven future? What skills should they be working on?
Well, I think first and foremost, you got to have a strong foundation in data literacy.
Okay.
Understanding how data is collected, analyzed, used to train those AI models. That's super important. And then, of course, there's a technical side.
Right.
Learning programming languages like Python or R.
Right.
Familiarizing yourself with machine learning concepts, exploring different AI tools.
It sounds like a combination of technical skills and just like critical thinking skills, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just being able to code, but understanding the limitations.
Yeah, being able to understand, like you said, the limitations, the potential biases, ethical implications, all of that.
Right. And I imagine adaptability is a big one too, right?
Huge, yeah.
This field is constantly changing.
It's moving so fast. You got to be able to embrace those new technologies and just,
learn, unlearn, relearn.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a mindset shift, really.
Yeah. So it's not just about those formal degrees or certifications.
Right.
But that constant curiosity.
Stay curious, stay informed, engage with the community.
That's right. Well said.
There's tons of resources out there, online courses, conferences, open source projects.
Yeah, absolutely. So to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has been helpful.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Giving you a glimpse into what's happening in tech.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. From Azure to Microsoft 365, AI, cybersecurity, WebAssembly.
It's the whole gamut.
It is. But stay curious, embrace that learning, and be a part of shaping this future, right?
Absolutely. That's the key takeaway.
And don't forget to check out Andrew Kagan's newsletter.
Yeah, great resource.
He does a great job. All the info's in the show notes.
Yeah.
If you want to reach out to him.
Give him feedback, suggest topics, yeah.
And as always, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been fun.
We'll see you next time.